The IDF is engaged in a multi-arena battle against the Iranian-led axis of evil, and we're winning. In the last 24 hours, 100 warplanes attacked more than 120 Hezbollah terrorist targets in Lebanon in support of the ground incursion that is systematically destroying Hezbollah's terror infrastructure, with 3 fresh brigades joining the fight. At the same time, on the first anniversary of the October 7th Hamas massacres yesterday, rockets, missiles, and drones were fired into Israel from Lebanon, Gaza, Yemen, and Iraq. After a year of war in Gaza, Israel is really learning to speak Arabic, and Hamas is making absurd threats, letting us know the depths of their desperation. All of this is happening as Iran and the entire region holds its breath to see how Israel will respond to the Iranian ballistic missile attack last week. Let's dive into the details. I'm Yair Pinto.
No matter how many clothes I bought, no matter how many houses we had.
And this is your Boots on the Ground report about what is happening in Israel on the 367th day of the war against Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis in Yemen, all the Shiite militias in Iraq and Syria, and the Iranian head of the snake of evil in the Middle East. A second before we start, please look for the subscribe button and click on it so that you will never miss another episode of Boots on the Ground. We are very close to reaching our goal of 1 million subscribers, and we need your help to get there. We start our report with a ballistic missile that was fired from Yemen and aimed at the Tel Aviv area where I'm standing here on the anniversary of the October 7th massacre on Monday. The launch came just after 5:40 p.m. and caused alarms in 132 locations all across Israel. However, the incoming missile was intercepted outside Israeli airspace by the Arrow system, but not before takeoffs and landings at Ben Gurion International Airport had been temporarily suspended out of an abundance of caution. But that was only the most dramatic kinetic event on Monday. Israel was also attacked by missiles, drones, and rockets fired from Iraq, Lebanon, and the Gaza Strip. Most of these attacks were intercepted, but a few managed to penetrate the defenses and caused some damage and injuries. However, so far, from all the arenas, about 90% of all the launches have been intercepted in the last year. The ballistic missile from Yemen came a few hours after an extensive attack by the IDF in southern Lebanon, after which Hezbollah launched attacks into the Krayot, Etzba Galil, and Kiryat Shmona. All of these are Israeli communities in the northern border with Lebanon. These IDF operations were intended to hit Hezbollah's command layer in southern Lebanon on a large scale in support of the divisions fighting in the first line of villages in southern Lebanon. In fact, these operations are a continuation of the waves of airstrikes in Beirut, where Hezbollah's leadership, production plants, and ammunition warehouses were all severely damaged. Hezbollah has in recent days moved stocks of ammunition from the Bekaa Valley to bunkers underneath civilian neighborhoods in Beirut, thinking they would be safe there from Israeli strikes. But by doing that, they were simply violating international law yet again by deliberately placing a legitimate military target in a civilian area, trying to use civilians as human shields for their weapons of war. The IDF issued a statement regarding this situation, saying that we have reasons to believe that the intelligence we have on the targets we attacked in Lebanon is better than what we have had on Hamas over the years. But this is the reason we are not satisfied with that. And that is why we are also working on the ground in the first line of villages where Hezbollah was based in order to carry out its plans to invade the Galilee. However, Hezbollah is not ready to give up yet. On Monday, several rockets were launched into Israel from Lebanon, even as authorities in Beirut announced that within half an hour, Israeli planes launched a series of raids against more than 30 cities and villages in the district of Tzur, in addition to a series of attacks in other areas, including near Rafik Hariri International Airport in Beirut, the only airport connecting Lebanon to the rest of the world. Tuesday morning, the IDF spokesman announced that the forces of the Galilee Formation, including units of the Alexandroni and the Chazen brigades, along with the Northern Nahal Brigade, began a targeted and ground operation in the south of Lebanon. Many of these soldiers spent much of the last year fighting in the Gaza Strip before being allowed to take a short break, and then were mobilized again for this operation in Lebanon after a brief period of training to become acquainted with the different terrain and other features of this theater of operations in Lebanon. The IDF issued a statement praising the reserve soldiers, saying that they have succeeded in destroying much of the Hezbollah infrastructure in southern Lebanon and eliminating dozens of terrorists. In related news, there is an update on the assassination of Hassan Nasrallah's successor in Lebanon, Hashem Safi el-Din. A Lebanese security source confirmed to the Saudi-based Ashraq el-Awsat newspaper that he was indeed killed in an IDF airstrike last week. The source added that Hezbollah had avoided announcing this until there is direct access to his body. We should remember that the lower floors of the building where this evil man was staying in the El Marija neighborhood of Dakhia in southern Beirut were completely destroyed, and this is according to a report on the Saudi El Hadat website. There could be little doubt that anyone in that building survived. According to various reports, at least one other senior Hezbollah official and a senior Iranian Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps general were in the meeting with El-Ladin when the strike occurred. But according to those same reports, rescue crews have been unable to enter the wreckage to search for bodies, although this new report indicates that might have changed and the bodies were found. In any case, here at TBN Israel, we will continue to report on any developments going forward. But it is important that you stay tuned to the truth in real time. You can do that by visiting our website, tbnisrael.com/news, to receive regular updates and in-depth articles on what is happening in Israel. You can also look for TBN Israel on social media networks. Keeping our focus on the north, the fighting there is heating up, and the IDF is hard at work to restore security to our country and build a better future for the entire region by destroying the evil and the barbarisms of Hezbollah and their Iranian masters. The IDF has issued a summary of the powerful operation that was carried out in the northern arena. Ground forces from the 36th, 98th, and 91st Divisions are fighting in an unusual way in the first line of villages that Hezbollah turned into fighting positions in southern Lebanon. They use these innocent-looking civilian homes and agricultural fields to build a network of booby traps, interlocking fields of fire, anti-tank missile firing positions, and minefields. But after a year of refining the methods of coordination between air and ground forces in Gaza, the IDF is ready to meet this challenge. The Air Force has also been hard at work hitting Hezbollah weapons storage and production facilities in Beirut. Hezbollah placed much of its infrastructure in underground bunkers in the capital, but they also placed some in high-rise buildings. And Israeli intelligence has pinpointed the location of many of these terrorist facilities and has sent the Air Force to destroy them. Over 100 Hezbollah targets have been hit in Beirut in recent days, removing many of Hezbollah's potent assets from the battlefield. This includes, as already mentioned, their senior leadership. But these attacks are always carried out in a manner designed to decrease the risk to uninvolved civilians. Advance notice is given to those who are in harm's way. Precision weapons are used to hit only the location where the targets are located, and the location is determined beforehand. The fact that 200 ballistic missiles are fired at us in the biggest barrage ever in history, and the next day the routine of life in Israel continues, is a big deal. Before we continue reporting on what is happening in the Gaza Strip in the last day, it is important for me to ask you to continue helping us spreading the truth. You can do that by sharing these videos on YouTube, subscribing to this YouTube channel, and following us on social media. Another way that you can help us is by spreading the word about some really amazing Israeli heroes I had the opportunity to meet last week. They were paramedics and first responders from Magen David Adom. These ordinary people do extraordinary things every day, responding to medical emergencies, car accidents, rocket impacts, terrorist attacks, and everything else that you can imagine. Sometimes the volunteers of Magen David Adom must run into harm's way, putting their own lives at risk to help the wounded from a terrorist attack even before the police have put an end to the threat. To mark the anniversary of the first day of the war, the National Rescue Organization is summarizing their activities in the war, and now more than ever, it is important to support them. You can make a donation to Magen David Adom by visiting the website www.savelifeisrael.com. Now back to the news, and switching our focus to the southern arena. A day after the ground entry into Jabalia, in the northern part of the Gaza Strip, IDF spokesman in Arabic, Avichai Aderi, issued a call on other neighborhoods in the area to evacuate immediately to the Mawasi in the southern Gaza Strip. That humanitarian zone is being expanded and already includes field hospitals established since the outbreak of the war, tent complexes, and supplies of food, water, medicine, and medical equipment. In order to expand the area, 2 humanitarian evacuation routes from the north of the Gaza Strip were reopened, one on Salah al-Adin Road and the other on El Rashid Sea Road. Also, the IDF published maps for the Palestinian population of potential evacuation areas in the northern Gaza Strip. The IDF spokesperson stated that the IDF will continue to work to realize the goals of the war, including the dissolution of Hamas and the return of all the abductees. In the raid that began after Rosh Hashanah, Division 162, along with the combat teams of the 401st and 460th Brigades, continued to operate in the area of the city of Jabalia, where Hamas tried to rehabilitate terrorist infrastructure and military headquarters. So far, dozens of terrorists have been killed in the area. In addition, the forces located and captured large stocks of weapons and ammunition. In the center of the Gaza Strip, Division 252 is working to expand the security area through targeted raids. The combat teams of the 14th Brigade began a divisional operation in the El Bureij area to expose terrorist infrastructure and eliminate terrorists. At the same time, the 5th Brigade combat team, alongside Unit 888, is currently operating in the Gaza City area, locating and destroying tunnel shafts, raiding buildings, and eliminating dozens of terrorists. In Rafah, the terrorist city in the south of the Gaza Strip, the control of the Philadelphia corridor is being maintained by the Gaza Division, which replaced the 162nd Division so they could be moved north for offensive operations in Jabalia. After a year of difficult fighting in the Gaza Strip, Hamas has ceased to function as an organized military force and has returned to functioning as a guerrilla organization. This means that it can still carry out low-intensity attacks on IDF soldiers or even Israeli civilians, but this is done at the small unit or even individual level and is generally less dangerous than what we saw before. As far as rocket attacks from Gaza into Israel, there has been a sharp decrease in Hamas's launch capability, and apparently the organization has not been able to fire into the center of Israel since the end of August. On Tuesday morning, there was a small barrage from 4 rockets that was fired at the Gaza envelope communities, but Hamas no longer has the Rafah crossing and the Philadelphia corridor. This is significant and will become even more significant if the situation remains like this for a long time, since it means that Hamas cannot bring in fresh supplies of rockets or other ammunition inside the Gaza Strip. Here at TV in Israel, we will continue to update you about developments in the Gaza Strip. Please continue to help us spread the truth by sharing our videos on YouTube and following us on social media. If you would like to support us so we can create more videos like this one, please consider making a financial donation by going to our website at www.tbnisrael.com/give or click the donate button on YouTube. I want to conclude by paying my last respects to the heroes of Israel who fell in the defense of their country in recent days. Sergeant Noam Israel Abado, 20 years of age, from Makdimia, Tzoran. He was killed on Monday in a battle in the north of the Gaza Strip on the anniversary of the war. The IDF spokesman today, on Monday, allowed the publication that Reserve Sergeant Major Aviv Magen, 43 years of age, from the settlement of Hirot, a fighter in the 55-15 mobile unit, was killed in a battle on the Lebanese border. Guys, please continue to spread the truth, share, and follow us on social media and subscribe to this YouTube channel. But the most important thing that you can do is pray. So please unite in prayer for the resilience of the IDF, for the soldiers. Pray for the return home of the abductees from Gaza into Israel. Continue to pray for the peace of Israel, and most importantly, pray for the peace of Jerusalem.